All right, Prairie High School. Let's start your regulation sequence. So I'm guessing that the commander gave fall in, and that's part of the sequence, and then you're supposed to fall in. And so you're marching formally to fall in, and so you sped up on the marked time, and then okay, order arms, and I'm sure it's left face next. Um, so we don't follow we don't fall in a formal fashion like this. It's always informal, always. We just have a gaggle of people, we say fall in, we create that formation. We don't have three separate formations of three elements that magically come over, and then now we form an even bigger formation, a flight formation. It doesn't happen that way. We have a everybody's standing around and fall in, and so we all move over and fall in properly facing the commander. First element leader is going to fall in and get an eyeballs uh, distance away from the commander, as far as to the commander's left, and then distance away from the commander three steps for this situation for regulation drill. uh, at a competition, it would be three steps for the NCO falling everybody in, and then the commander would take place or take position, and then it would be six steps for the commander if that were to happen. So your spacing here is fine, your distance is fine, everything's working out just fine. However, you're not supposed to do this so formally. So on that left face, okay, Commander, you need some more work on that. All right, let me go over the left face, then I'll tell you about not doing those little facing movements. So the left face that you did, you did it, so it's got to be judged. So the rifle is trailing your foot. You're bringing the rifle over like this. So here's the rifle, and you're facing this direction, and then you face this direction, and the rifle is trailing the foot. What you should be doing is you you move you lift the rifle like this. You lift the rifle, bring it over as your foot moves. Then you place it down on that second count. So it looks like this: one, one, and then two. I can't. My hands don't work that way. I could show you with my feet and lifting a rifle, but it's lift the rifle, set it down. One, two. So little facing movements. We don't do that when reporting in. So if you were supposed to be at not at sling, and you're supposed to be at sling, and I'll explain that in a minute. If you were not doing that, what you would do is come to present arms and then look at whoever you're reporting to. So since you're supposed to be at sling, then you would hold, look, finish your report, and then come back. So um, that's the little tiny facing movements we don't do. It's always a look, and then see, make sure that your feet are all at a 45-degree angle. There's some variation of width here. So for an armed flight, we follow the training circular um, guidance for an armed platoon, and the guidance in there says that the commander is going to be at sling arms, and that's what we're going to do. So you're flaring the hand, which is good because that's what the Air Force pamphlet says to do. But because we follow the Marine, it gets complicated. We follow the Marine Corps order for colors, and for the color guard, we then flare the hand and then tuck the thumb. See, I can see you're bringing your thumb out like this, Commander, like that. And what you're supposed to do is tuck your thumb so that you can't see it from the front, but you're doing that. and it should be like that. So tuck your thumb behind the small of the stock. And your hand's actually a little bit too low. See? And see how the judge returned your salute? He looked over to you and dropped the salute. He did that perfectly. That was good. So there was movement on the. Oh! What am I doing? Oh my goodness! Oh, that was ridiculous. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. There. Now see how some rifles dropped a little bit. We can see hand movement. There's phasing in the hand movement, but let me go a little bit before that. So watch what you're supposed to do. Here's what you're looking for. So you're at present. The rifle's going to be brought to port, and then the right hand comes up to bring the rifle down. So what you're going to see is port and then movement of the rifle with the, the rifle's being brought down with the right hand coming up. So again, port and then reach. The rifle doesn't move. That's what's supposed to happen. But what we see is rifle movement. See, it's just slight, moving the rifle down with the left hand. All right. So forward to the rear for the Air Force. To the rear, heart. Left foot is brought in line and 12 inches away, and then you turn and then take that first half step, which is really stupid, but that's what the Air Force says. This is perfect. This is putting the feet in line to execute the movement. That's good technique. That really works well. The Air Force got that right. Where they got it wrong was putting in that half step after. So half step is a heel strike, so you shouldn't hear any sound at all. A little bit of phasing in the feet. Oh, all right, good, good. That was. I'm impressed. So there is variation of technique there, though. Not bad here, but you can see kind of the uh, at least with him, and it looked like a couple of others. Look at the difference in the timing here. Big difference. So here and here, they're already taking that first step, or close to it, close to the heel strike, when just about everybody else has only toed off just a little. So, all right. So let's go. Let's see that first. Uh, Whenever I want to. All right. Let me. I'll pause this and try and get it. Well, I got it amazingly, and it was only on on the first try. All right. So look at the massive variation here. So you can see there's a timing issue, but what I wanted to highlight is the difference between third element leader lifting that foot really high. That's much too high, and then the almost extreme toe lift there. So I'm going to try and get this just a half second more uh, farther along, and I want to show you something else. All right, so this is just a split second later, and you can see see these two here, they have quite an extreme toe lift, whereas many others aren't lifting the toes at all. It's more of a whole foot placing instead of the heel strike and rolling forward. And it should be a half step. It looks very close to a half step. Now, when I wear my boots, the boot is actually 12 inches long from the heel that sticks out and the toe, the edge of the toe that sticks out there. So that's 12 inches long. I know that I can place my heel up against the boot, honestly, at the toe, and I have my 12-inch step there measured from heel to heel. This looks like it might be a little long, just a little bit. But then see, we have that different technique, and it's throwing off that movement there, the effectiveness anyway of the movement. So we don't call uh, we don't call commands like the Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard do, with different feet having a different part of the command. It's right flank as the right heel strikes the marching surface. Right flank march, and that's so you're not going to find that explained anywhere. I'm probably the only one who's ever told you, and I can't back that up. I'll just tell you that right now. However, after the the decades of experience of my Chief Master Sergeant AFJROTC, my decades of experience dealing with Air Force drill, that's the way we call it. So, but I can't give you um, the exact method because it, the Air Force pamphlet just does not go into depth, which it really should. So look at the variation here of step length. So we can measure from heel to heel, and his step length is much longer than his, but first and second are close, and actually they're close in height, close in step length, um, close in leg length it looks like too, but then third is quite short. This is what I call the end step, the last step you take in the current direction. Now all of you are going to flank. You're going to pivot on the ball of the not the ball necessarily, but the ball of the foot and everything forward is called the platform. You're going to pivot on that left foot platform to execute the flanking movement. And it looks like most of you are taking a half step when it should be a full step. Yep, it was a half step for many of you. And you can see after you turn, second element leader, you'll notice that immediately after you turn, you're out of alignment. But it's not your fault. It's the fault of everybody having different end steps. So it should be a 24-inch step. So let me explain the flank, just in case I haven't explained it to you before. When you're marching, you have and walking as well. When you're marching and walking, you have the distance between your feet, the inside distance between your feet, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. That's the average. There is no right and there is no wrong in this situation. It's just how your hips are wide and the angle of your bones and all that kind of stuff. It just ends up that you have a walking base, it's called, and we can convert that into a marching base. So you keep your marching base as you're marching along. Right flank, march. Now you keep that walking base, the marching base, for that step, and you come out 24 inches. You execute the pivot and then come out with your right foot, the first step in the new direction, keeping that walking base, that distance between the feet, but also the length of step as well. The new step is 24 inches. So this is before, this is during, and then after the plank. As long as you have the end step and your walking base through the similar walking base. I'm not talking about walking base that needs to be similar for everybody in the flight. I'm talking about your personal walking base. You keep that and make sure that it's similar all throughout the performance, then you're going to be more accurate along with everybody else. Now, I might have a 5.5 inch walking base. The first element leader might have a 4 3/4 inch walking base, but as long as we're marching forward, one behind the other, and then we execute the flank, and we're one behind the other, then we're marching this way, and then all of a sudden we march this way. We're going to have the same alignment the whole time. So just because you're executing a column half left doesn't mean you stay in a staggered position like this as you're marching. You have to catch up. That's the whole point of this. And just because you give a column half right afterwards, which means that you're going to end up like this anyway, that's not the point. The point is to catch up so that you're marching at an angle. You're marching this way, and then you're marching this way. You still have to catch up at that angle. Nice job. So saw some elbows coming out there. All right, so actually the one elbow that I saw came out this cadet right here. So you're coming to right shoulder. You're grabbing the butt of the rifle, bringing it over to the shoulder, but you have that elbow coming out, and then you're popping the elbow in, placing the rifle on the shoulder, and flaring that hand all at the same time to make one movement. Elbow's not supposed to move. So you've got you're at port arms. You're going to reach down. Elbow's going to stay in place. Elbow stays in place the whole time. So there's no movement of the elbow out to kind of cushion the blow, if that's what you're doing it for, whatever reasoning. Good. So your grip needs to be everything all together. That's what Air Force does. So you're toe striking. Don't toe strike. Heel strike on your half steps. Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard toe strike. Army, Air Force, and Space Force, we don't toe strike. And your feet are being lifted way too high. You're not marching in place. You're marching forward at a half step. When we march forward at a full step, quick time, what we're doing is raising the foot just enough. There is no measurement, but it's just enough to clear the marching surface. So when you're marching at a half step, it's exactly the same, just shortened. So some looked like maybe a little bit of confusion there, but make sure that that's a half step that you're taking. It really doesn't. It, it does. It's a shortened step, but I'm not sure that it's 12 inches. Not exactly. And see here, right here, much shorter end step, much longer end step. So you're both out of alignment here completely. Actually, all three of you are out of alignment. Again, shorter end step, much longer end step. So it's not a half step that you take on right and left flank. See the end step there for the hold. You're out of alignment. So, Commander, why are you doing all this with the team? You don't respond to your commands. You're giving the commands as a commander. In colors, when you're the commander of colors, you respond to all of your commands. That's part of the Air Force pamphlet. The commander responds. But you're not part of the formation. You're outside of the formation. You're not responding to your commands. You're performing with the team as far as flanking movements and columns, things like that. But you're supposed to maintain your three-step distance and alignment and all that as the commander. Commanders' responsibilities are laid out just fine in the Air Force pamphlet, and performing all of these movements with them isn't part of that. Again, you need to be at sling arms. Good execution. Except for that left shoulder. Let's look at that again. So, cadet, right here, what you did was left shoulder, arms. You brought the rifle up to a certain point, but kept it moving the whole time to bring it over, instead of bringing it up to the port position. It was a continuous movement, and you can barely count each of the counts there, each of the positions that are supposed to be held. Almost everybody else is doing that. Bring it to the port position. Grab it at the small of the stock, that's port arms, and then bring it up. So it's 1, 2, 3, nice and solid, no continuous movement of the rifle. So it's something you need to work on. Nice job, Commander. And that's not half step or a chain step. Your commands are great. So pin the so 4 pivot movements. Air Force is supposed and Space Force is supposed to pin that arm, but you can see oh, so too far back. You can see the variation in technique though. Pin, and most of you aren't pinning. So third element leader, excellent pin. That was great. Everybody else follow that technique. So chain step, march, step, step, step. That's not the technique. Chain step, march, step, step, step. Step, step, step. That's step, step, step. You have to have that speed increase of double just for those few steps there in order for you actually to change step. Now you went through the motions of change step, but it has to be at an increased tempo. If it's not, you never change step. So let me show you. Whoops. Let me show you here. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. You never change step. So when I'm saying left, right, change step, march. You should, as soon as you finish it, as I'm saying left, your right foot needs to strike the marching surface. Better alignment here. Nicely done. Starting rifle movement from No, don't change sides, Commander. I, I don't know where this comes from. All of a sudden, it's cropping up everywhere. Don't change sides, Commander. You're not supposed to be on the side rendering the eyes right. So many teams are doing this. You need to stop. The commander's place is on the other side of the formation, not here. And it doesn't matter that you're on the opposite side for the eyes right. It's this isn't a thing. It's not what we do in the Air Force or the military for that matter. We don't do this at all. No, no. So even if you're supposed to be uh, carrying the rifle at right shoulder, we don't execute present while marching. That's not a thing. In formation, right? You're in formation, even though you're not part of the formation within the formation, Commander. You're still part of the formation as the commander of the formation, and we don't do this. We don't do. We don't execute eyes or present arms for eyes right. It's called eyes right for a reason. Eyes right. There you go. That's all you do. So if you were at right shoulder and you called eyes right, there, that's what you do. But you're not supposed to be at right shoulder. You're supposed to be at sling arms. So it's eyes right, boom, ready, front. So eyes right, called on the right foot. So on that right, it's right. On that next left, and then ready, front, next right, here, left foot, bring that left hand down. So, yeah, that's not a thing. And you don't, so you don't turn your, well, yeah, but you don't turn your head before ready front. Well, anyway, I just showed you, so. Excellent timing there. That was good. So your spacing there, Commander. What happened? Wait a minute. So if and all you did was to the rear? Yeah, you're backwards. I thought so. I thought there was something different. You have the back of the flight leading. That's to just to report out. This technically should be a counter column. So left hands. The only left hand that's good is this one right here, and his as well. So the left forearm is supposed to be as close to horizontal as possible. That rifle needs to come down. But the left hand. So when you're at port, the left hand, the pinky, is right above the upper receiver there, just right there, right next to it. And then when you're at present, your pinky is along that same line. That's where it's supposed to be. A lot of people slide it up because the rifle is turned and brought down. So bring your left down with the rifle. So most of you can you're tall enough so that you should have the front sight at eye level, and if you're and that's arm fully extended. And I don't mean trying to extend it like this so it's nice and straight like a flagstaff. Not that at all. Just have a natural, relaxed arm, natural bend in it, and then bring that rifle down so that you're looking across the front sight. When you're looking across the front sight, then everything else is supposed to line up. If you're too short, then what you're not supposed to do is drop the front sight down below eye level. It's right there. So if you're taller and you can drop it down, then, and for certain rifles I can do that. I can bring it much lower. So you're not supposed to. And however bent your arm is, depending on how tall you are, then that's where you're supposed to stop. But if you're shorter, then however much taller or higher the front sight is, that's fine. It's just you being uh, height challenged. I'll call it. So, oh, and so the team's backwards, and Commander, you're on the wrong side. So, really well done. This is a weird setup here. Whoever wrote this sequence needs to revisit it, honestly. That's, yeah, weird. Very strange. Yeah, it was a weird sequence anyway. Why, why rewrite it? That was, yeah, very strange. Anyway, so I hope my comments are helpful. Um, that was a good performance. Got some things to clean up in there and some technique to redo. And the hardest part about learning a different technique for something is getting rid of that old muscle memory, and that makes it difficult. But you can do it. Just needs to you need to apply a decent amount of practice to it. So hope my comments were helpful. Thank you.